guys. Thank you so much, Alante, for that wonderful introduction, for having me this evening. I'm so excited for this, and I'm excited to be talking about one of my favorite topics, which is writing. So, if you don't know who I am at all, I currently, yes, I work at Maryland as a postdoc, and I also have a business where I work with doctoral students to finish their dissertations. And so people usually come to me because they're like, listen, this writing, I can't do this. And there's a lot of feelings and emotions around that because you feel like if you made it through all of this schooling and you get to the dissertation, why is a dissertation taking you out? And people often think it's because, well, I just need help in my writing, or I need help making a plan or an outline. And a lot of what I do and a lot of what I'm working with clients goes way beyond the writing process. And that is what I'm going to get into a little bit today. Now, I'm interactive. I need all the love in the chat. I'm going to say some things. I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to ask that you respond in the chat box too. Also, if at any point I say something that hits you right here, just put a yes in the chat box. Just let me know. I'm not over here by myself, okay? Because I understand that a lot of you, right, are preparing to go into a graduate program. And I know some of you are in programs. So I'm going to say some things that's probably we're going to get deep. But just know it's out of love. It is because I really do mean that you can do this graduate process with your joy and peace intact. You can have joy in graduate school despite everybody, and like, you know, a lot of the people in the academy will tell you that you cannot. You have to choose between the two. I don't believe you have to. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, let's hope technology is on my side. Okay, so today, here are the three main things we're going to talk about. The number one pitfall that causes 90% of writing challenges, and I'm sure it's not what you think it is. The one thought that will trap you every single time. So be on the lookout for that. And then the three must-haves you need or you want to maintain writing motivation, right? Okay. Why? All right. So the first question I have for you all is, why will you finish your grad program? Because I know that y'all are in different types of programs, you're at different stages. Tell me the why you were going to finish. You can't see the slides? Hold on. I don't know. Let me stop, let me redo. Can you, can you see that?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so we might have to do this instead of me trying to go in full screen because it wasn't working. All right. So why will you finish your grad program? Like, what's the why that's in your core? Like, I want to know that deep why. I don't want that cute why that you give on interviews. I want the real why, right? So if it's because I want to have the letters at the end of my name, say that so you can be that person on the emails like, excuse me, did you not see that I have these credentials, right? If it's because you want to speak and be consulting doing that, cool. You want to be academic famous? That's cool too. I really do want to know your why. No shame here. You don't have to be deep. It just needs to be, okay? So while I do that, I will keep going. So I want to tell you a little bit of story about me, right? I want to demystify. So a lot of my intention when I'm working with folks and when I'm doing these type of workshops is that I want to demystify the process as much as possible. And I want to tell you the real stuff that people don't tell you. I don't want to sell you a dream that like grad school is going to be like, oh, rainbows and butterflies all the time, because then you get bamboozled, you get in, you like, nobody told me. So I want to share my story of my first year in my doctoral program, and I hope that it gives you some inspiration. So I started in the College Student Affairs Administration PhD program at the University of Georgia in 2013. And as a first gen student, I was like, I'm so excited. This is going to be amazing. Like, I didn't even think I would like for real make it through the first degree, undergrad degree, but to get all the way like through a master's, and now I'm going to do a PhD. Like, I was like, I made it. I was in Georgia. I'm originally from Chicago. And so I was a long way from home, but I was like, you know what? It's going to be 3 cute years. We're going to be fine. It's going to be fine, right? And I was excited about finally being able to go to a large research institution because most of my experience up to this was I did my undergrad at Elmhurst College. If you know, it's a small liberal arts private institution right outside of Chicago. I did my master's work at Illinois State University. So those are two different institutions from the University of Georgia. It's the South, it's the SEC. I was like, football season, this is going to be amazing. And the first day of class, I was like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how to get on this bus. Like, you would act like I acted like I'd never lived in a big city. I was lost. It was just a lie. I felt like a first year student all over again. But whatever. I was like, it's cool. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. And so many of you probably the first day of school has always been like my holiday, like my favorite holiday of the year, ever since I started preschool. And so before even going into my first day of classes at UGA, I had all the things. I was like, I picked out my outfit. I had my planner ready. I have my bag, all my supplies, because we like the geek in me. I love it. Take me to a Staples any day, right? So I had all the things. I was ready. I was like, I'm going to be a serious student because it's a PhD. Like, we can't play around like we did in undergrad and masters. Like, we got to take this seriously, right? I had all the pep talks. And this was like a general, like a typical day in the life of what my schedule looked like that first year, because I know that's one of the questions that folks have, but people are like, there's no typical day. I kind of had a typical day, right? So I woke up, right, because I was taking it seriously. I was like, I'm going to do all the things that people tell you to do. I'm going to do it. So I'm going to wake up at 6 o'clock. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to do my morning routine, do some journaling, do some yoga. I even I took some loan money. I did, and hired a trainer because I was taking this serious. I was investing in myself. And I would go work out in the morning and do all of that, and then go to my assistantship from like 9 to 1 because it's a 13-hour assistantship. So this is what my schedule. I was I was help coordinating the EDD program during its first year. And so a lot of my task, if anyone is interested, looked like I was proofreading emails or making PowerPoints from a faculty notes or making copies. Like, the work isn't glamorous, but it gives you a paycheck. I think a lot of times people think you're gonna go into a graduate assistantship and it's gonna be life-changing. No, they're gonna have you making copies, sending emails, and like transcribing notes or something like that. So I would do that in the morning, come back for lunch, and then yes, you see that it says 3 to 10. I would go to coffee shop, 2-story, if you are familiar with Athens, for legit 7 hours or more, and sit there, and I would read word to word, from word, all of the readings. I would make all the notes, all the highlights. I had all the apps, right? Because I was taking this seriously, right? Because I wanted to be prepared for my assignments. And what happened was that there were a series of like 4 to 6 page paper like assignments for classes. And I would get to the writing part and be like, wait a minute, I read all this stuff, but I still feel like I don't know enough to write. Let me go look at my notes because maybe I missed something. And I just had, for real, writer's block. It was as if like I didn't do any reading or anything, and I just got really in my head. So then my strategy became, you know what, I'm gonna take quotes from my notes, I'm gonna put it in this paper, I'm gonna reword them. Listen, like, y'all, don't do this, okay? I'm gonna reword them. I'm gonna put an introduction, like a sentence, and the conclusion, and I'm gonna give it to the writing center, and somebody will tell me if I'm off. I would give it to the writing center. They would give it back with some few corrections, but not much. And then I would turn it in. When I say I got failing grade after failing grade, it was a real thing. And people will tell you all the time, especially like in grad school, like, nobody cares about grades. They do, especially when you're not getting passing ones. And I was so frustrated because I was like, what? I'm doing everything that people told me to do. All the best practices, I'm doing them. Why is it not working? So one of the more senior faculty members in the program calls me to his office. He was the coordinator at the time of the program, and he sat me down and was like, your writing isn't that good. He said, in honesty, like, you're not a good student. And if I'm really, really being honest, I don't understand how you got in the program. I wanted to say, because you let me in, because you're the coordinator, but I was not that bold as a first year. By this point, I was crying. And he just kept saying, like, you just don't look interested in class. You just don't ever say anything. Like, you just always on your laptop. You don't even seem like you even care. And clearly you're not trying, because you turned in this paper that looks like this. So essentially he was like, just get it together. So that meeting ended with me in the bathroom on the fourth floor of the Mary Frances Early building, just crying. The next day I go to talk to my advisor, who was the other most senior faculty person. Before I can even sit down in her chair to say, hey, how are you? She was like, you need to go to the writing center. There was no hello, there was nothing. She's like, you just need to go to the writing center. And when I try to explain to her, like, I've been submitting every paper to the writing center, she cut me off and she was like, no, you're just an awful writer. You need to just go figure this out and take it seriously. So of course that did not motivate me to like try to figure something else out. I just got even more in my head and I just shut down. I mean, I still showed up, but like I didn't know what else to do, because all of what I've known in my smart girl bag I was using already. Right? It wasn't working. And then at the end of the semester, when I did not have passing grades for 2 of the 3 classes, I got a nice letter from the graduate school that said, you have 1 semester to meet the standards of your program and of the graduate school, or you'll be dismissed. I was on academic probation my first semester. Um, and I just went home feeling really sad, like, this ain't gonna work. My dad called me, and it was because it was winter break, and he said, come home, come to Chicago, he ended up buying me like a $500 ticket because it was so close to Christmas, because he heard how sad I was over the phone, and he was like, just come home. And my family, like, they tried to understand, but they were like, we don't get it. You've been in school for this long. Why are you struggling? Do you just need a better schedule? Do you need to just sit down and do your work? Like, everyone's making an assumption that I wasn't working all the hours. Like, I didn't take a break. Like, that schedule that I showed you earlier was something I was doing on a daily basis, even on the weekends. The weekends were longer because there was no assistantship to go to. So I would sit there reading. It wasn't connecting. And then I had a really good friend who was like, I don't know what's happening. He's like, but I do know you can do this. I still remember who you were in high school, and you told me that you're going to do this school thing all the way to the end. And you said no one and nothing was going to get in your way. And so we were talking through that, and he reconnected me to that passion I had and to my why. And that was what I need. I was hyped, y'all. Like, I went back to Athens. I was like, this is what we're going to do. I don't care what I have to do, but I'm gonna do it. I still did the same actions, but my mindset was different. And that next semester, I had all A's. All A's. I got so much like kudos for my writing. Now this is a whole other workshop, y'all. We can talk about more why that happened, like the difference between the type of who I had as faculty in the beginning and who I had as faculty in the second semester. Again, different topic, but just know that that has a big role in why I was able. It wasn't like magic and then that happened. But yes, that turned things around for me that second semester and gave me a lot of motivation to keep going. I also switched my advisor, so that helped as well. And now I have the greatest of all times dissertation chairs. That's what I call her, Chris Linder. Okay, so tell me, what are your biggest writing challenges? I'm curious to know what y'all are, what's some things that's coming up? Oh, yes. Literature review that I'm pretty sure most of y'all don't think about. One of the biggest things when I'm talking with clients or when I'm listening to them speak, it's the peopling and the politics that take you out, right? And people don't talk about it as much when you come into a program, no matter like what level it is. After the undergrad level, I feel like this is when this becomes very key. is that you can do the coursework. So when I look back over that first semester, there wasn't necessarily anything we were reading that I didn't understand or I didn't see in my master's program, because I also have the same degree in my master's. The same program in my master's, right? I was introduced to this new world. I was in a new region of the country. It was my first time being introduced to middle class folks. That might sound strange. There's a whole different way, like from my working class background. I was like, I'm from the west side of Chicago. What are y'all doing? Like, what are you talking? Why are you talking like that? Why are you using that tone? Like, it was just a lot of things that I did not understand that were happening, like a nuanced things that was taking me out. And when you get into a program, right, the number one thing that people like to do is like, oh, where's your assistantship? Oh, what's your research about? Oh, who is your advisor? Oh, are you going to that conference? And it happens over and over. And pretty soon, even if the people are in your cohort and they feed you the story about you're supposed to be a family, what happens then is you start comparing. And you don't do it consciously. You're not really aware that it's happening, but it's happening in the background. You say, I got to be competitive, especially if you've been told that you need to work 2 times harder just to be like even, right? So you hear all these people saying all these things that sound really good that they're doing. Side note, I do want to say that some of these people lying, okay? Some of these people making themselves sound good, they're not doing it. Or they just happen to be on a team, but all they do is like, I don't know, sit there and look pretty. So I just wanted to put that out there. But yes, you start doing that, you start engaging in conversation. And anytime you're really talking to someone from your program, you're always talking about the things that you're doing or you're achieving or what you're working on. Like, people are not really having conversations about their regular lives. So it makes sense then that this conversation is also constantly working in the background of your own mind. And when you go to sit down and write, that's what you think about. When I write this sentence, is it going to be as good as so and so? When I write and I talk about this topic, I know that this faculty, this is their area. They're the person, right, who writes about this. Am I going to be like that? Like, who am I to write about this topic? All of that starts to play. And I get that people talk about it as imposter syndrome. And I know there's a session on that coming up, right? But it's real. It's real. And it all comes from the people and the politics of the program. The number one thing, though, that you're saying to yourself that's taking you out every single time is, I don't know enough to write. I especially hear this. People, when they first come to me, they're usually working on their literature reviews, and they'll say, but I don't know enough. I need to read some more. But you've been reading, just like I was reading. I was reading every day. But you sit there and you go to open up that new document and you're like, okay, this paper, right? That's what I was repeating to myself over and over when I went to go write those papers of like, I mean, I know I'm supposed to be talking about this topic, but like, I don't know enough. And that sounds ridiculous because I have a whole master's degree in college student development. I could have made up something, right? But that's how I know it's not about not knowing enough. But you will feel like you need to keep reading. You'll feel like you need an outline. Like, I just need if I had an outline, I'd be able to write. If I had somebody who would give me a schedule, I could do it. I could follow it. We tell ourselves all these things, but this takes us out every time. So I think this slide might be out of order, but we gonna pass it. Okay, we'll come back if we need to. So what do you do? Here's what I will tell you. Protect your peace at all costs. I know this probably sounds a little woo-woo, foo-foo, whatever at first. Listen to me. Protect your peace at all costs. People will constantly try to comfort your peace out of their own insecurities or whatever. Imposter syndrome is real for everyone. Even the person, when you go into your class, that first class, and you have your first class discussion, and they're like, well, I read and so said, and like they're in that tone, they have imposter syndrome too. Other people are just better at hiding it. Okay? Watch who you consume the most. That means in real life, and that means virtual. I know I'm getting beside myself, Angel. Listen, it's late, y'all. I probably should have did this earlier because the later it gets, the less filter I have, and I have a new puppy. And like I don't have the energy like to And when I say that, that means like even people you don't know, but you're following them on Instagram or Twitter. You think it's cute, the little like, oh, okay, we're gonna keep going. So
Apologies.
the more that you consume them, hmm, okay, I don't know, keep going because the more that you spend time with these people, whether they're virtual or not, the more you start to inhabit their mindset, the way they do things, the way they think, and pretty soon, if you don't watch it, you'll be them. Now, if you want to be them, that's a whole different thing. But if it's someone that you're like, oh, that's just funny, I want to know who they're coming after next, watch that energy. And then I want to really encourage you to move away from this hustle mentality into a high performer mentality. I'm going to talk about that. Right? So the three things that you need, and that's high performer means, let me pause. So a lot of times we just say like, it's the grind, it's the hustle. If I got to stay up all night, I'm going to do that. Like when I'm doing dissertation breakthrough sessions with folks, which are calls that happen before me and the person decide if we will be a good fit to work with one another. One of the biggest things that I hear is that, oh, no problem. I'll stay up as long as you want me to. I'll do exactly what you say, even if it takes all night, even if I have to push my family to the side. That's hustle. That energy, you will burn out. There's no way to out hustle yourself all the way to the top. When you get into grad school, it's a different game. Because at this point, information. Sure, you'll be introduced to some amazing information and literature, but like you have done the hustling to get to this point. Now this is about what type of performer do you want to be? Like I kind of think about a lot of times that, up to this point, I was playing in high school and did some college, let's just say basketball, college basketball. But now these are the pros. I got to show up differently. Like what got me here is not going to get me to the end of the program. So you have to ask yourself, like, how do you want to show up? How do you want to perform over the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however long your program is? How do you want to perform? How do you want to feel in your body? What are you going to do so that you can show up and feel your best every day? And so 3 things that I want you to focus on: mindset, routines, and community. Right? So mindset, remind yourself regularly of why you are doing this and pay attention to how it evolves. So that's why I asked that question at the beginning about what is your why, what is the one in the core, because you think about it when you first start the program, but as you go along the program, you start to forget it, or it starts to change, or you don't think about it, and then you start to lose motivation. Your motivation is clear. It's like so strongly connected to your why that if you lose sight of your why, you can just pretty much just forget about like pushing your way through, unless you're just going to hustle yourself to burnout. And so that was happening to me in that first year. Even that soon, I had forgot why I was even doing it. I just got so caught up in doing all the right steps that people told me to do that I forgot my why, right? I was going to put the second one in the community, but I think it's important for your mindset. Find you. Listen, do not wait. Find you a therapist, a counselor, a coach, all 3 if you need to, and meet with them weekly. I don't care if you're having the best time in your life. I don't care if your program is the most like supportive program. Find you something, even if it's like Talkspace, or what's the other one, Better Health. Like even if it's just texting someone, you need to have someone to check in with every week, because there's just things happening. You are changing as a person. Life will still happen even though you decided to go to graduate school. And knowing that you have someone who isn't a part of your daily life, who their only job is to sit there and listen to you do, and it's perfect, but the intention is to strive for these things. And I came up with this because people would say, oh, just take care of yourself, because people assume that we would just know how to do that. And you're like, well, I should know how. Should you at this stage? You may think it's too simple. You may think like, I got that. So what I ask my clients to do every day is to take 1 hour a day for yourself, like one full hour for yourself, not to do the laundry. We're not calling nobody that's gonna drain our energy. We only doing things or spending time with people who fill us back up, who give us life, right? The second thing, drink at least 64 ounces of water. I have my water. It's nice time to go get you a glass of water. Water, you need it. It hydrates you. It makes you feel so much like better. Like, don't be like me, drinking like 3-4 monsters a day. I was like, what is water? And wonder why I was feeling like crap. Don't do that. The third thing is to journal for at least 10 minutes a day. We have so much untapped knowledge and resources in our minds, and we've been socialized to think that that's not legitimate. It's not neutral. It's not objective. And so you've learned over time to quiet that voice, but you are making so many connections that you have no idea that you're making. And journaling has been shown to be a great tool for you uncovering that. So if I would have just like, I was journaling about like other stuff, but I wasn't journaling, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, but I wasn't journaling about when it came to writing. 4, move at least 10 minutes a day. I know that might sound a little bit ridiculous, but listen, for the folks who get caught up in thesis and dissertating, right, and you start writing, you like, I can't move. I can't drink nothing. I can't go to the bathroom. Don't call me. My phone is on do not disturb for 12 hours. I'm trying to write. And so just thinking like, okay, you just have to move for 10 minutes makes your brain go like, oh, I could do 10 minutes. I'll just walk around the house. Right? And usually when you do the 10 minutes, you end up doing more. But if you don't do more, at least you know that you did something for that day. And then number 5 is to complete your top 3. Top 3 are 3 items that you're going to prioritize for the day. Each item should take you 20 minutes or less to do. The goal of this is to get you started, because the hardest part a lot of times when it comes to coursework, writing, whatever, is to get started. But if you could tell your brain like, oh, it's just a little 20-minute task, we're just gonna pick up this book. Or another example could be like, oh, I'm just gonna write this one paragraph, or I'm gonna read this one section or this one article. Like having little tasks like that you can put at the top of your day and then start off your work time with gives you momentum. For me, motivation equals momentum. Motivation is a lie. It's not something you go find. It's not something that just hits you out of nowhere. It comes from when you can build up little habits and tell your brain, trust me that I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, right? I'm going to read this article here. I'm going to write this paragraph there. And your brain goes like, oh, okay, that wasn't so bad. What else can we do? That's how you build on that. Routines. This is the second one. Routines. Have you a weekly planning routine? And if you haven't started, I wanted to say this. If you haven't started your program yet, you're going to get a copy of these slides. Please save this. This is like maybe around November, October, November. You're going to remember this session. You can pull it back up. Okay. Have you a weekly planning routine? Now, I know a lot of you already do the planning. Here's the part I want you to add. Do a reflection at the end of the week, because you have to know what works for you. Just because this complicated system over here works for so-and-so over there don't mean it's going to work for you. And a lot of times we're doing a lot of planning. If you're like me, you were just decorating your planner, but it wasn't really functional. But that's beside the point, right? We have these plans and we do have all these to-do lists, all these sticky notes and pieces of paper, and we're writing out 50 million things that we're going to do for the week. And then we get to Friday and we realize we did 10 and there's still another 40 on the list. Then you feel like I'm a failure. I didn't do enough. I wasn't productive enough. No, you set yourself up from the beginning. You don't need to do 50 things. Because if we being honest, most of that stuff ain't even for you. Most of that stuff you should have just said no to. But you wouldn't know that if you don't have a regular reflection process that says, like, what did I do well? What's working for me? What do I need to do differently next week? Mm. Get your working or writing schedule for 10 to 20 hours a week. Yes, 10 to 20 hours a week. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. We're not doing 10 hours a day. Because if you're doing that, something's off. Most likely, if you like some people, you looking at work emails, right? When you said you're gonna be working on like coursework or writing, you're probably scrolling through Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram or something. You're probably doing everything else but the actual thing you said you were going to do during that time. And then you turn around at the end of the week and like, girl, I've just been working so hard. I've been putting all these hours. No, 10 to 20 dedicated focus hours. If you are going over 20 hours, you need to go back and reassess what's happening. What are you doing? Or you may be legitimately reading for 20 hours, but then there's something off. And so I would encourage you to get with a mentor or someone who can help. Okay. Get you a writing routine that includes your own personal step-by-step system for reading, writing, and editing that you write out. You actually write out. So I have like a whole post-it I write out and follow each time. It sounds silly, but remember, if the hardest part is getting started, you need a checklist. And I do mean step-by-step. Sit down, open laptop, open document, put fingers on the keyboard, write out your thoughts. That's what I tell my clients to do. Just write out the literal thoughts that are coming to your mind, write those out. Because what will happen is that eventually your brain will click on and you'll start writing about the thing you need to write about. And you won't get in your head as much about, oh, let me go look this up. Let me go look at that paper that I wrote like 20 years ago in that one class. I remember this one line that was in that paper that I could put in, it'll be perfect. And then you spend like 3 hours going down a rabbit hole and you see the sentence and it's not even that good in the way that you remember it. So we're not looking for stuff. We're just going to write out our thoughts. The second point I want to make about this is that reading, writing, and editing are separate processes to be completed at separate times. And I may say this on another slide, but do it separately. And then I encourage people like, yes, you take an hour a day for yourself, but take a whole day where you do nothing, no forms of work. If at all possible, if you can, take a day or half a day. But the more time that you can give yourself to be free, to give you some breathing room, the better student you will be. One of my biggest downfalls from that story earlier was that I was just hustling and working. My days were scheduled. I didn't have any fun. I was like, there's no time for fun. Who needs that? And it showed up. I'm trying to go fast because I want to get to some questions. This third piece is community. Here's the number one thing I would tell you. I know some of you are in writing groups. Get the group that's structured. Don't say like, oh, we'll figure it out. We're just gonna come and write. That's not, Get you some expectations. Make sure everybody is going to meet the expectations. So are you gonna meet at the same day and time every week? What are the rules? Are y'all talking? Do you do small talk? Do you catch up? Or is it strictly you meet here and you write? Like getting very clear on things like that help you, because I know a lot of people are part of writing groups that are really, some other group. Y'all not doing no writing. Y'all doing a lot of talking about stuff that ain't even related to what you're supposed to be writing. Get some structure. Okay. Keep in contact with a friend who knows your why deeply and who can hype you up. This might be a person who not even in, they're like, what's the degree? I'm not interested. Or maybe they do, but they like, whatever, they're outside of your program, they're outside of your world. But this person not only hypes you up, but they give you perspective when you get too caught up in the bubble. Have another person whose job it is to make you do something fun or to fill you up on their day off. Right? So this could be the same person, I guess, but having someone that you say, hey, you're supposed to call me on Saturday and tell me to go outside and run or something. Whatever your thing is. You think that you'll do it. You won't. You will get to say Saturday is your day off, because that's the day we do inside my group. Say Saturday is your day off. You'll get to that and you'll be like, oh, but I could just do this one thing real quick. And the next thing you know, you lost your whole Saturday. Having someone that you can be accountable to makes all the difference. Have a mentor who can help guide you through the political decisions, because they will happen, they will come up in the program. Like, remember, graduate school is all about your relationships and how you're connecting and moving and making decisions. So if you have someone who has been there before, who understands your world and who can help guide you, makes all the world of difference. And then find you 1 to 2 people who you tell everything to, like from the article that you found that you're so excited about that your other friends won't get why you're excited about that. Person who understand what it's like to go to lab. Get you friends who understand your world, that you can have each other, because this process can be lonely, but you need people. Notice in here, I'm not saying anything about you need to be best friends with your cohort people. That might not be true. Maybe you will, but maybe you won't. I think people put a lot of pressure on cohorts, thinking that it's going to be one big happy family. And I'm not saying it can't be possible, because I've definitely seen cohorts come together, but most of the time what I've seen is that it doesn't work out in the way that people think it will. And so then they give up on trying to find community. And I think community is what saves us all. Okay. So based on all the things I've shared, what are 3 things that will be the most useful to you, you think? Okay. When it all comes down to it, because it's supposed to be about writing, but it's more than writing, right? My major thesis is that when you feel good, you can produce good writing. When you feel good in your body, in your mind, writing, you're more able to deal with the, I don't know if I can swear on here, the shit sandwich that comes with writing. Because I'm not trying to say it's not painful. I'm just saying that to be better able or more equipped to deal with it, you have to take care of yourself, right? You have to have more courage and confidence to go through that. I call it the pool of misery or the shit sandwich, right? They will come up. And writing, if you go talk to any writer, they will tell you, even if they've been doing this for years, even the people who are famous in your field, if you could have a conversation with them and ask them about their writing process, they will tell you, like, no, it doesn't necessarily get easier. You just get used to the feeling of it. You get used to that process of having to go through like questioning and back and forth and do that. And again, if all fails, just write out your thoughts. Free write. Just write out your thoughts. I promise you. Do editing separately. I tell people for every hour that you write, there's 3 hours of editing waiting for you. So I see you people, because I do this too. That's like, you write a sentence, you read it. But first you read a whole 3 articles. Then you write just to write 1 sentence. You look at the sentence and you're like, oh, that sounds stupid. You erase it. You go through that process again. Right? And you keep going back and forth. And at the end of a 4-hour period, you got 1 sentence that you're not even happy with. Treat them separately. As much as possible, tell your brain to shut up for like an hour and say, I read all the things already. You're not reading nothing else. I'm just going to sit here and write out my thoughts, or just free write about this topic. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back after that break, and then I'm going to edit it. The more you get used to writing, editing, and sending it for feedback, the better writer you will be, the faster writer you will be. Most people think that if they read, write, and edit at the same time, that it's going to save them time on the back end. It's 3 different people, and I might have this on a different slide, but like, treat them separately, do them separately. Okay, and then my closing words are this. You know enough, you have enough, and you are enough. I'll say it again. You know enough, you have enough, you are enough. I tell people when they come to work with me that you can finish this dissertation, because we're working on a dissertation, you can finish this right now. You don't need me, you don't need anyone else. You could just sit down and write it. You could tell your brain to stop. But I know that's easier said than done. But I really want people to know that you know enough, and don't let the system, don't let the people tell you you don't, because you do. for allowing me to spend this time with you, for sharing with me in the chat box. Here's all my information. Feel free to contact me on marvettelacey.com. If you need to email me, it's contact@marvettelacey.com. And you can come and join the Facebook group, Qualitative Dissertations Made Simple. But that is all I have. A latte.
Dr. Marvette, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, when you check your Twitter, I blew your Twitter up. Like,
Okay.
you had some amazing gems, and you see the chat. Lots of thank yous, rounds of applause. And y'all, I want to tell you all again, all of the sessions will be available for replay after the summit is over, okay? Just so you all know. Now, we are getting ready for our last session, but Dr. Marvette, there were some amazing questions that came through. So you ready to switch over to that?
Yes.
Cool. Like, I tried to capture all of your questions. The first was more of a comment, but I think you can still speak to it. It was from Sarah. She said, I'm scared because I teach college composition, but I'm not confident in my ability to write PhD level papers. Do you have any advice for her?
Oh, you are the perfect person to write PhD papers. Let me tell you why. People will say like, oh, I don't know how to sound scholarly. I don't know how to do this academic writing, because they're usually thinking about that they need to use these fancy words. But what I tell people is you have to think about, who is it that you want to read your writing? Like, who are you writing for, right? Because a lot of you are writing for people, for communities, for organizations who are not academics. Right. And so if you go in there using all this jargon and flowery language and they don't understand what you're saying, are you being effective? Mm-hmm. So that's one thing to think about. The second thing is academic writing comes down to being highly structured in your writing. And a lot of us are very creative, right? And we just want to flow and use our words and just go with how we feel. And so that's why I tell people to just write it how you feel it, and come in and editing and put the structure in. And so for you, Sarah, someone who teaches it and who knows structure, you'll be able to do that more seamlessly than other people can. And you can be the go-to person. Not that I'm trying to put labor on you. I'm just trying to help like hype you up a little bit of like, people will be asking you, how do you do that? Because effective writing is clear writing. And if you can be someone who's very structured and like, in this section, I'm going to talk about X, Y, and Z. X is this, Y is this, Z is this. In this section, I talked about, like, when you can write like that, people think it's very boring, but that is academic writing. When you pay attention to your textbooks, that is how it's written, because it's meant because people are not, it's not intended for people to read every word. So for the skimmers, they need to be able to read the intro and the conclusion. You already got that on lock. Please trust in like who you are and what you know. You know enough, remember. And I would say this is more of a good thing than it is like something that's going to be harmful to you.
I love that. So we have like 9 questions. I really want us to get through them. So we're going to try and do like some speed answers if you can.
Okay.
GS says, journaling kind of makes me uncomfortable because I know that I might write about sad thoughts, maybe journaling about writing itself. So do you have anything to say for that question, comment?
A fast answer would be, the more you're willing to feel your feelings, the better academic you will be. That's why it's important, again, to go find you a helping professional to talk to every week, so that when those sad things come up, you can process it with them.
Could not agree more. Brittany asks, any suggestions for those who are full-time employed and needing to keep a writing schedule?
Here's the thing. Everything's just not going to get read. Everything that you turn in that you write ain't going to be the best thing that you write. What I tell for my clients who work full time, I say you have an hour before you go to work and your lunch break. That's 2 hours. Wait, am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. I don't know if the last thing you heard. Okay.
2 hours lunch break. That's the last thing I heard.
Okay. Yeah, so that's 10 hours right there. But what's going to be the key to your success is a clear planning routine. And I can share with Alante some resources I have, podcast episodes where I go through how to plan. I actually did a workshop last week, so I'll send that to you when I send you the slides.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next, is can the writing routines from GS as well? Can it be updated? Sometimes the writing process changes depending on what they're writing.
Yes, you would need to probably change it, update it regularly. I update mine regularly, but I have like key steps that I know a doubt when I don't feel like doing anything and procrastination is hitting me. I just say, I literally set my alarm for 20 minutes and I say, your fingers cannot stop moving until the alarm goes off. And usually at the end of 20 minutes, I have a good chunk of what I needed.
Perfect.
We got some writing groups going on in the comments.
Yes. Okay. Oh gosh, y'all. Too many screens. Okay, there it is. I forget where I find a quote after I figure out a topic. Then I go searching. How do I make this better?
So if you're going, okay, let me back up. One of the common mistakes is that people overuse quotes. At most, 1 to 2 direct quotes in your writing is what you need. So I'll just say that. 1. 2, if you like, yes, I really want that. I encourage people that before you start reading whatever you're reading, write out the full citation and write out the in-text citation so that when you then pull the quote in your notes, it's right there. And just, I don't know, I'm a fan of stickies. If you can see it behind my screen, I would probably have a sticky that said, don't forget the page number.
Nice.
It'll just be right there off on the side. And that sounds simple, but it helps me.
Nina says, any suggestions for writing routines? Which I think you might have went over that in the slides. So if you don't mind, we're going to skip over that one. Crystal asked about online writing group recommendations. If you're in the chat right now, it's going off. I will be sending you all more information about working together in your emails over the next couple of days. Next, Mainiko wants to know, what are your recommendations for finding a mentor?
In Norwood, I would say happy birthday, Minnie, to your friend, because I just happened to catch that comment. Finding a mentor. And so I'm a person, so I mean, you know, all the academics, not all of them, but there's a lot of academics on Twitter, right? And so finding, like, getting to know them. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Malik Teal. She is the founder of Curlbox. She's not an academic, but she has a podcast episode about networking. And one of the things that I found helpful was that she's like, once you identify a person who you want them to be your mentor, you find 3 ways to interact with them as a normal person first in order to establish a relationship, right? And sometimes that may mean that you're gonna have to like find a way to maneuver into some spaces, but maybe it's like, hey, you send an email and just say, hey, I want to say thank you, I read your article, I found it amazing. Maybe the second thing is you see them out, I don't know, we're in quarantine, so this is really strange, but you see them at a program event, you go to them and you go up to them and introduce yourself and say, hey, I sent that email, I just wanted to say again how much I appreciate your work and being able to see you as an example. A third thing may be like, oh, I saw that you were over here, I would love to sit down and talk to you. Like, you don't try to close like on a date on the first try, you wait until you've had a couple of interactions with them.
Next is from Stephanie. She says, Dr. Marvette, Lord, y'all, I'm tired. Dr. Marvette, what do you mean?
Okay.
What do you mean by doing research and writing separately, like on separate days?
No, I'm saying do them at separate times. So if you're reading and researching, only read and research. If you're writing, you're only writing, you're not editing, you're not like moving things. Like a rule I give myself is if it's gonna take me 60 seconds or more to do it, it has to wait, right? So a lot of like someone who's talked about like, I can't find the quotes. What you do is put in parentheses, find page number and keep it moving. Don't stop to go do that in the moment. Let writing be for writing, editing be for editing, reading be for reading.
Perfect. Okay. Then Shar asks, is it normal to feel nervous about sharing your writing with others if you think they'll take your ideas or writing verbatim?
Oh, we don't share with those people then. We don't find somebody. What I tell clients is to find someone you trust and you know has your best interest at heart, and you give them your writing because you know that whatever feedback they're giving you is from a good place because they want you to win. But if you can't do that, I mean, I know that I had used the Writing Center as an example, but like there are lots of grad students who do this work on the side or just because they love it. And you may have to ask through some networks, but finding someone who's going to give you some good feedback is going to be helpful.
I think that's perfect. You are doing great. We only have 2 questions
okay
left. Good job. So I don't know if it's Kiana or Kiana. I just want to pronounce it both ways just in case. I don't know. She's a current undergrad preparing to apply to graduate school this upcoming year, and she's beyond worried about abilities and writing sample. She doesn't know where to start or what university to look for, in particular, the writing portion of the application process.
So I would say first find, if you know anyone at all in your networks, or maybe you have to ask friends of friends, but finding students that you can talk to and ask them about their experience and what they did. Yes, it's a puppy because he was biting at me and I just need to pick him up. If y'all want to see, because I know people, you probably can't hear anything I'm saying now. But yes, finding people that you can actually talk to and have a conversation. Start the personal statement early and giving it to as many people as possible. It's going to be painful. You may feel like you want to throw up. Just remember to keep breathing. I guess this goes back to the last question too. Keep breathing and knowing that this part gets easier. I still get nervous when I give people my stuff to read. It's nerve-wracking. And then the third piece is I want you to go back to what's going to help you protect your peace. So is there a part of the country or countries you want to live in, right? What's important to you? Do you like certain climates? Is it important for you to be community? Is it important for you to have access to different things that may be available in the city versus where the institution is located? Really spending time thinking about that and spending some time to research the faculty and seeing if these could be people that you would want to work with for the next however many years.
I love that. Okay, the two more, and we're gonna have to switch over, y'all, because we got our wind down. I need like 2 minutes to go make my drink so we can do that.
Yes.
So, recommendations for writing classes. I don't know if you'd be able to speak to that.
No, I wouldn't be able to speak to that, like classes per se.
Okay,
yeah,
no worries. Let's so Asha, you might have to talk to somebody in your department who might have recommendations. Then any advice on how to navigate the dynamic of writing and receiving feedback from white advisors who aren't knowledgeable or understanding of the importance of addressing inequity through writing. This person attends a PWI and is having issues or struggles with finding a mentor of color.
Yeah, so okay, really fast. The one thing I tell people is that if you are doing something about inequity or social justice, the number one question that's going to be on their mind, whether they say it or not, is what is this? What is race? What is gender? What do these identities have to do with this topic that's neutral? And so answering that very clearly in the beginning helps to cut that out. The second part too is being okay with that resistance is real. And you can write the best paper. You can put it perfectly. You can be extremely clear and they will still give you feedback like, I don't understand, I'm confused. And that's because they're working through their own privilege and you can't help the people to do that. And I know that unfortunately that means that sometimes that's gonna cause some friction in your process, but I want you to know that it has nothing to do with you. It's all them. They will try to say it's you, but it's them. And if you can connect with people in professional organizations or associations who can help you tease out those ideas, who do that work, that would be helpful too. Or just reading more of their writing, that will help.
Yes, I thank you so much. Well, y'all, we're down to the wire. Let's give Dr. Marvette another thank you in the chat. This was amazing. Thank you for being so transparent and giving us some really great resources and some steps to get our writing together. Like you got me together too. So I appreciate it. Y'all, I want to thank our sponsors again, Non-Tradish. We're actually about to just jump on IG Live. So go over to Blackened in Grad School. I'm about to turn on my live right now. You're going to walk with me while I go grab my drink. And we're going to talk about saying no, specifically that piece. We've been talking about time management, taking care of yourself. Go over to Blackened in Grad School. I'm about to go live and I will see y'all in a minute. Thank you again, Dr. Marvette. I will see y'all.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.